Call to order. Sue McFadden, absent but excused.
Gotta do number 2 first.
Oh, we got to do the Pledge of Allegiance? Well, then why isn't Pledge of Allegiance first and call to order is second?
Go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No.
Roll call. Sue McFadden, absent but excused, correct?
Correct.
Dennis K.
Present.
Sharon P.
Present.
John Jones here. Robert S.
Here.
Jennifer M.
Here.
Dennis Allison, absent, but do we know is he excused? He was supposed to be here.
Not currently, correct.
Kate S.
Here.
Need somebody to approval of the agenda?
I will make a motion to approve.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
6-0 on the approval. Approval of the minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 30th minutes.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
6-0 again. And now we have Erica Smith presentation.
All right, fantastic. I've got Zach who's going to pop up my presentation, I hope. All right, so I thought it would be good just to do an introduction to myself since I'm new. I've got 1 week under my belt. So this is just a brief slideshow to introduce myself and give a little outlook for me getting started here. So, next slide.
You have 3 minutes.
Oh gosh. Oh, you probably can't even see that. So I have been in the Parks and Recreation field for 25 years, and I usually like to share that my first job was as a scorekeeper for my local Parks and Rec department in Romeo, Michigan. I never would have imagined that this would become my career. And throughout college, when I was working on a sociology degree, I worked at camps. I've been a seasonal, a part-time employee, a part-time permanent. I've been a contract employee. I've been a volunteer, and I've been working in the field full-time as those the second bullet point highlights. So I started with the City of Ferndale as a recreation supervisor, where I was overseeing youth sports, and we moved into a community center at that time. I left that to go overseas, where I worked in the Marshall Islands on a civilian Army base, where I was overseeing a youth center and youth programming. And I came back to Michigan and was the assistant director for the City of Pleasant Ridge, which had a community center with an outdoor pool. I was there for 8 years, and I left to be the executive director for the Novi Parks Foundation. So I worked closely with the Novi Parks Department, working with private donations for capital funding and projects. And I did realize I really missed the inner workings of a Parks and Rec department, and so I found my way to Ann Arbor, where I've been for the last 10 years as a recreation supervisor, doing a lot of community engagement, special events, working with volunteers, and a lot of unique initiatives. So that's my background. I have a lot of experience in programming, facility management, community building, outreach, innovative maintenance initiatives, working with boards and commissions. I also wanted to share that I do have my master's degree in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Resources. I always like to share that because a lot of people would never realize you can get a degree in that, but you can. And I also recently got a certification as a Parks and Recreation Executive, which is a CPRE, and there's only 10 other people in our state that have that certification, and really that, I share that because it's, I think illustrates the commitment I have to the profession and best practices and the standards and a continuous development of skills and competencies that are really important in leadership roles. So that's some of my professional background. Next. I wanted to share some of the values that are important to me as a leader: open communication, integrity, and responsiveness. So my hope is that you'll experience all of those in working with me over in the future. A couple things I'm really passionate about. Building a high-functioning team is really important to me. Community engagement, getting input from the residents, getting input from commissioners like yourself, that is really important to me. And again, I'm really passionate about providing the best park and recreation experiences possible for our community and for this community. I share a little philosophy here. I believe that the Radcliffe Center and the entire Parks and Rec Department belong to the community, and you are the voice of that community, being commissioners. So that's kind of how I view your role, and it's really an important voice to have in the work I'm doing, overseeing the department. Next. Okay, here's some little personal details. I've got a picture of my family, my husband Colin, and 2 daughters. Sophia just finished her freshman year at Grand Valley State, and my daughter Maya just finished her sophomore year at Nova High School. We do have a dog. Moon is his name, and he is a certified therapy dog. And then there's just some random little notes about me. Yeah, I'm a Sagittarius, Generation X. My spirit animal is a butterfly. So just some more personal details about me. I definitely love exploring parks, being outside in them, and I do like to travel, debate. I collect patches. So just some miscellaneous notes there. And I have terrible handwriting. That's just a fact I share up front with people. I don't have good handwriting. So that's it. You can go to the next one. So I also wanted to just share some observations or what I'm really excited about here in Garden City. When I saw the job description, I was really excited because the recruitment flyer really was unique. It had a lot of enthusiasm, and I really felt like it was looking for someone with my strengths. So that was something right away that I was interested in. I came out and visited all the parks, reviewed the master plan, which is, fresh off the printer, and of course read up on the Radcliffe Center, which, all of those things were very exciting for me. I attended the GCU that was hosted at the Radcliffe. I was able to attend the GCYAA, sorry, I'm gonna typo up there. And, really was, in talking to the people I was talking to, really could see how much the sense of community is here, how so many people have been born and raised, and they have their kids, and then they have their kids in there, so their grandparents and all these generations. And I really love that about this community. So it's a very exciting time for the Parks and Rec Department. So those were some notes I wanted to share. Next. So I've only got 1 week under my belt. Last week I was here for the council meeting, and I did have a chance to review some of the previous meetings you all have had, just to kind of get up to speed on what's going on. And I also spent a lot of last week trying to meet with each of the staff, the full-time Parks and Rec staff, so I can get to know what people are doing, who they are, just gathering information. And as well as really trying to understand the city organization and, knowing protocols, everything from payroll to just getting the computers and everything set up. So I've been doing that, really just trying to learn as much as I can, assess, the priorities, and get myself informed. So that's been kind of the first week. And next. My initial goals right now, there's 3 things. The budget. So it's going to be really important for me to have a really good understanding of the budget that we have in Parks and Rec. I also know that we need to understand what's been spent and where, budgets to complete things. So I am busy getting to work on some of that already, and that's very important to me. Along with that, understanding our programming and staffing, like what is going on, just having a comprehensive understanding of the operations at Radcliffe, what the needs, the goals, and the priorities are for staffing that, and just running that effectively. And then, the third goal that I have is really to start just building the relationships with all the different partners in the community, collaborators, supporters, even some of the skeptics, staff, community, boards, commissioners like yourself, getting in tune with what the community values are and opening up, doors for input. Very important to get started. And the next slide is some of the priority. I know that does not read very well. So what those say there, the first priority order is that Radcliffe Center budget and spending, so responding to the request for more transparency. So I didn't take long to see, like, this is something we really need to get into and get some information out to everybody. So that is a priority. And let's see, I can't even read that other pink section there.
Develop budgets to work with.
Oh, yes, so that's something already working on, is developing the budgets for what has been completed and what is yet to be done. So trying to go back now and find all those numbers and put them together in a way that can be explained and shared, because it gets very complex, these different funding sources. There's some different fiscal years involved, but that is a priority that I'm working on already. I know that the Parks bond is on the ballot for August 6th. That is only 2 months away. On the bright side, we've got this amazing master plan here that, to me, would guide any sort of Parks bond that we want to do. Oh, yeah, thank you. And one of my priorities is to work with you guys to develop recommendations and, a community engagement plan, so that we are including the community in, any of the potential projects. To me, this master plan is like our guide, but we still really need to be checking in with the community and obviously reassuring them and again, building trust in a relationship so that they know that you guys are working, in their best interest. So I have some ideas on that. But then the third focus and priority is really for myself to be providing support and guidance to the staff at Radcliffe. And, I will say, in meeting everybody, and Mike here, who's done so much the last 6 months, year, 2 years, 10 years, I was so impressed with the staff, what they've been doing, with obviously large gaps in staffing and just a lot of changes and things that have been going on over there. So, I want to continue to keep things moving positively, and, the way that I'm going to provide support and guidance is really by, having staff meetings, getting myself informed, and just being available for them. So those are kind of my priorities, at least after week 1. So next. So, okay, this is really my last slide. Then, obviously, I'm going to keep continuing to learn and ask questions. I'll be looking for you guys to share priorities that you have or hopes that you have for the department or for any of the things that are kind of being discussed. And with that, I don't know if you have any questions or...
Dennis?
No.
Robert? No. Jen?
I think you pretty much covered all of them. A very nice presentation, for sure. So I think a lot of mine, too, is just getting, like you said, caught up with like what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm excited, so yes.
Sharon?
Nice presentation. I'm glad to finally meet you.
Okay.
Kate?
We can just get on.
Okay, thanks.
It's hugely helpful how diverse your background is, so welcome, and
Thank you.
I'm excited to have a leader and just get answers, and in the bond, it's busy time.
Yeah.
One question I have is, are you still going to have access to Doc on information, if possible? Or did we put a needle in his head and withdraw everything and then put it into yours?
Well,
Because, I look at a lot of things that went on at Radcliffe, and
Yeah.
I don't know how well he kept notes, how well he kept things, but it's like, there's a lot going on there.
yes.
And if that's all in his head, and if he'd have got hit by a bus, it would have all been gone. But I don't know if we still have some type of access to him after he's gone, if need be.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will say there are different staff people that have components of information, I would say, because I've certainly learned a lot from the staff, like everything I've learned, because I've only worked with Doc one day, you know, and I believe the city will have access to all his email and, you know, files. But if there's something in particular you're just thinking down the road when we...
I'm thinking down the road when it comes to
Yeah.
things that are going on at the Radcliffe Center, and if all of a sudden something comes to a halt real quick because we're not sure what his plan was or what his thought was, is he still an access or a viable player for us?
I don't know. I could ask him, but I also think like we're eventually going to have a new city manager and, you know,
I think that the important information that we need, she's going to have access to. I mean, regardless, I mean, you know, getting caught up is going to take some time, like you said, but I feel that you'll be successful with everything that you need. I mean, it might take some digging and like asking one person or, you know, one person leads to the next, but at least, you know, hopeful that you can get answers, so,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
Anybody
I
else?
think the staff has been kind of doing the grunt work over there, running it for so long that hopefully they will have all of the answers. Mike's been great,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
They're a wealth of information over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll be able to continue to move ahead. It might not be exactly as Doc would have done, right? But, you know, things will continue to move, and I think if we don't know the answers, we'll figure them out. We'll get the input we need. We'll, you know,
Yep,
I mean, that would be my approach.
I think it will be successful, so. it's-
Okay, next thing is public hearing. I notice we have a ton of people out there tonight.
Yes.
So we can scratch the public hearing. And number 8, and items for consideration. A, old business, Garden City Parks bond.
Do you guys want to, I don't know how much she's been like caught up on the park bond or the questions that we had asked from the workshop, if we want to go over them, if we want to hold off on that, schedule a workshop, another workshop,
So.
whatever you
It
guys,
has been in talks before that we wanted to do another workshop.
yep.
If that's something that you guys are interested in doing.
I think we ought to do another workshop on this, and somebody probably needs to make a motion because I can't do that.
Has council had a workshop yet about
No.
this? Okay.
You know what was surprising at the Radcliffe opening? You know what I heard a lot of people say? I didn't know we had this. That was very surprising. So maybe we need to think about maybe having another open house one of these days
When everything is finished.
when everything is finished, because to hear people, that really set me back when I thought about, it wasn't like I heard it from 1 or 2 people. Just walking through there, did you hear that same thing? I heard that from numerous people walking through there saying that,
No, I think.
I didn't know we had all this. I didn't know this was here.
Well,
I didn't hear it, but here.
I didn't hear that, but I did hear that it was very well put together. Like, I mean, from advertising to the social media posts online, I mean, like having food and drink, I mean, that brought so many people out. Like, when you say food and drinks, you're going to get a community of people
right.
and kids, and they will be first in line for those, you know, food and drinks. So I think, you know, they did a fantastic job at just the planning of it, and it was needed. I mean, just to bring so many people in to see that place, and, you know, we talk about it all the time, but it was cool that we could, you know, driving by there today, I had my kids in the car with their friends. I'm like, you see that place? I'm gonna take you over there sometime. They have a teen tech room, they have esports, and they're like, really? I'm like, yes, this summer's gonna be great.
Yeah, the people I talked to, they were very impressed with what
Yeah.
the city has done inside the
Yeah.
Radcliffe itself. How many different rooms there are, different facilities that they can use.
So many options.
Yes.
The other thing is, what about if they put a flyer in with the water bill, like they put in now, but just for the Radcliffe Center?
That's a
because
great idea.
That's a great
neighbors
idea.
next door don't know anything about it.
I'm telling you, the thing I kept hearing and it's probably the salesman in me, because I'm looking for the negatives.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking for the positives, I'm looking for the negatives, and I kept hearing people say, God, I didn't know we had all this over here. You know, and I think if you're gonna go for a bond, I think you need to maybe have another open house before the vote to try and get more people there. Even if you get some of the people that were there the first time to go, oh my gosh, they are moving along with this. This
Yeah.
isn't just gonna be stagnant. And try and get as many people in there as you can to understand that this is real, folks.
Yeah.
I would think that that would fall under like a town hall type situation, like if once we talk and have our workshops, and then we go to market to the public and say, these are the things that we are going to see, you know, some items that could be used at each park, and just kind of have it like a town hall in regards to that, like, you know, this is why we are looking for a yes vote. This is what improvements you'll see. So that they can get a sense of, okay, that now I know what I'm going to be saying yes for, so.
Yeah, and I will say we can educate, we just can't tell them what to
Right,
vote.
right.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with all of those things. I think the marketing and letting people know what's there is really important. You know, one of the ideas I wanted to float to you guys was possibly hosting like a pop-up event at each park.
Yeah.
And how you each have an assigned park. We could be hosts, like myself and whoever that is, and we could put out signs and do some marketing, and then be there to specifically talk about that park and just invite, you know, so have 8 of those in the next 2 months.
That's a
So
great
we
idea.
could, and then we could also develop some materials, like I love the idea about the backpack or flyer with the water bill, you know, and have like cards or just sort of promotional things so people can put it on their fridge or, you know, come and check it out if they haven't been there.
And I mean, like the senior fitness room,
Yeah.
I found out that they accept my insurance, so I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah, you cannot beat that.
no, I saw other people saying, oh, I didn't know that, maybe I have to check my insurance, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Just,
yeah, to get the word out.
so do we want to schedule a workshop now, or do we want to see what works for everybody's schedule? Does everybody know their schedule?
Do we want to try and do something like we did before, do it 2 weeks after this date?
Or, sure, the sooner the better. Let's see. I mean, we could do, I don't know, what's today? What about June 11th? It's a Tuesday? So like you were saying, 2 weeks? Anyone?
I'd say right now, I'm good for June 11th.
Erica, do you know what your schedule's like?
Yeah, June 11th is perfect.
Would you guys be good? June 11th?
Should be,
Okay.
that should be good.
Okay. Kate and Sharon?
Is that recital?
that's fine with me.
No, the recital's the 12th and the 13th, I know, I already looked at
That is rehearsals for the recital.
rehearsals, okay.
On the 11th?
Yes. The,
Okay, that's okay,
You're good?
yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna go June 12th.
11th.
Yeah.
I'll
That's
make
the Tuesday, so
no.
somebody's going to have to make a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to hold a workshop on June 11th at 6:30 at Radcliffe.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
6-0 again.
Should we invite council to this?
What was that?
Sure,
Should
but
we invite council to this?
Do we have to
I think,
I
This is
think
the final,
notice out?
Should we let them know we're having a workshop?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
say, we would like you there if possible?
I
Yeah.
think that per the Open Meetings Act, only 3 can show up, if that's correct. So only 3 from council, if it's more than that, because we're discussing an item of matter that could potentially take some sort of a vote that they would be a conflict of interest, and Zach's shaking his head yes. So we can invite them, but I don't know, like, how do we pick who wants to come? And so maybe,
so Kim Dold came to our last meeting, and there was some back and forth about who is going to make this list. Is it council? Is it, there was no director at the
like the
time.
list, the bond list.
Yes. So at the last meeting, Kim was talking about going back to council, and they would have a workshop to kind of create a list, or go off of the list that was already there. So that's why I asked if they had one yet, or, you know, if they were gonna make this list. I just want the residents
Well, I
to
would
know.
suggest, if you guys are the Parks and Recreation Commission, I would suggest that you guys put together a recommendation. So whether the recommendation is vague, like we want to utilize the master plan as our guiding project development, you know, based on the feedback that we've gotten from this. And then you could also put language in there to say what we would like to recommend is that we're hosting events like community engagement before the vote, but if it were to pass, we would do a whole nother round of community engagement. Because it will be difficult to get an exact list, just because it's very hard to get pricing on a large capital project. Like, it's gonna be very hard to, and I don't think any of us wanna promise anything, but we want to reassure the public that we're using this to guide the priorities. And we can, I think getting feedback, going to each park, trying to get feedback from the residents in that area, really looking at each park and what could be done there, having a ballpark idea of what, whether it's a new playground or it's a really big thing over at, City Park. So I think like you guys could make a recommendation to the council, and then they could either, make that their recommendation. I don't know.
I think we still have to build everything around the master plan. Because if we deviate from what's in the master plan, then the residents are going to go, what are you guys doing?
Right.
You guys have a master plan.
Yeah,
why aren't you
it's a
following it?"
brand-new master plan, exactly. So it'll just be prioritizing then, right? What can we do, if it's that 9 million? And so I think that maybe at the workshop we could work on, or through those series of engagement. But if we outline to the community, the steps that they're going to have input in before and after the vote, then I think that is, something that you guys can do and guide to ensure.
One point that I made at our workshop was that, we were given a kind of a draft and a presentation that was put on for each of the parks, which it was nice because it showed options that we could do at each park. But I think people don't understand that from September until December, community engagement was put out there for months, and we asked the public exactly, that there's so much data as to seniors and young families and, adults that really kind of put this together. So that's why we have this. But there was a lot of pre-engagement done with the community. But I do like now going back to the community and saying, because 9 million's a lot to ask for. So, and people they're not going to remember what they put on their survey necessarily. Like, oh, I wanted tennis courts, or I wanted a walking path. Oh, I don't remember what I put on there. But that's what our data shows. And if we're going to go off of this, but also having a updated community engagement, and like you said, going to the parks, we're bringing the public in now a little bit more than we have. So I really like that idea.
The other thing we need to check on is, and maybe you can help me out with this, was it Senator Peters that Doc and the mayor met with about a bond that was trying to get some money coming to us? And do we know anything about that? Because we had talked about, like, if they came back with X, then we would take the 9 million minus the X, and we wouldn't be asking for the 9 million, we'd be asking for 9 million minus X.
Yeah, so it was sent to Senator Peters as part of the, I want to say just omnibus funds. So kind of DC, whether or not House or Senate, one of them has a budget that they can do to send to cities, and it's the cities that they represent. So Doc was talking to me about it, being the Parks Commissioner, for Council Liaison for Parks. He said 9 million, so I asked him to input it for 13. So we put in for 13 million, hoping, shooting for the moon. If we get less, yes, a portion of the parks bond will most likely be cut at that time, depending on what we get. Doc has sent the information to Senator Peters, waiting on Senator Peters to get back to, but Doc has also updated Senator Peters, and I believe the mayor and then right now acting city manager would get the email back if we're selected.
So is there any way to follow up with Peters again, or do we have to wait for him?
This one's kind of a waiting game because it's them finalizing budgets in DC, and we all know how long that kind of usually takes. I can definitely talk to the mayor, see if we can get something sent to see where they're at in the process.
Sure.
Have it? Yeah.
Because it'd be nice to go back to him and say, hey, we got 13 million, we don't need the 9.
It can be canceled after if it were to pass in August, yes, it can be canceled after the fact.
That was the other thing that they had talked about with Doc had said, say this 9 million bond did pass, then all of a sudden the 13 million, or let's say 10 million or 9 million came in, we could go back to the residents and say, hey, or if 6 or 7 came in, we could say, okay, now we only really needed 3
Yeah.
or whatever. So we have options still, but I just want to make sure that that doesn't slip through the cracks.
No, it has not. It has not, because I'm aware of that.
Okay.
And there's also the 4.5 million from the other Rashida, Tlaib, that's potentially out there.
Okay. Anything else on the Parks and Bond?
No, I have nothing.
What time are we having the workshop and where?
Radcliffe.
Will we do the normal, like 6:30 at Radcliffe? Does somebody need to make a motion? I would think we would. I can't.
Well, you have to say what it is. Under new business.
Oh, under new business? Secretary appointment?
Can I make a motion that we table that?
We need a second.
I'll second.
We've made a motion to table the secretary appointment till the next Parks and Rec meeting. We need a vote, though.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
6-0 again.
So I think I was maybe mentioning to Mike, we have had a secretary in the past. I think it's one of those jobs that nobody wants to do, so maybe we can talk about it and figure out a solution. Maybe if that's what so, but we don't need to talk about it today.
C, other business?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
I was just wondering about the Wayne County millage money. The 75?
I know that was put in to add new items for the playscape. We will have to check on that to see where that's at.
Okay.
Not 100% sure yet.
How's the new playscape coming along?
So the company came out on Saturday at 7 a.m. They did the pour in place rubber flooring for it. So they asked us to try to keep as many people off of it as possible over the weekend.
I saw a lot. Every time I drove by,
Yeah.
there was people on it.
But they are actually going to be adding the playground wood chips, the safety wood chips, and the stone this week.
How did that hold up? Has anyone like inspected it after like yesterday?
I've been out there a few times,
Yeah,
and it looks really nice.
it's fine.
Yes.
Like no damage was done or anything?
Nothing that I've noticed so far.
Okay.
So.
And did you ask when that was going to be done, Kate? I can't remember.
Yeah, the end of May is what
End
they
of
were
May, you
aiming
said.
for.
Okay, great.
So they're expecting completion by the end of this month.
Okay.
End of the week, actually.
Friday.
That's good. I think too, maybe to tell Erica, we were talking about having a ribbon cutting for that because it's been a long in the waits. So I'm sure you're aware
Yeah,
of that.
So
Yeah,
is Mark,
we
is
were
Mark
talking
plan
about
on
that.
doing something like that, or
What's
not?
that?
Is the mayor plan on doing something like that?
I believe so. I mean, we
think this
should
is-
plan it.
yeah.
So we'll, I think we were gonna just talk a little bit about that if, I don't know if you guys have input on when to do it. I think probably the sooner the better.
What about piggybacking off of another event? Like, there's lots of things, like a music in the park or something else going on in the park, doing it then if people are gonna be there?
That might be a good idea. Does anyone know when the first music in the park is? I
I
mean,
believe it is June 20th. Is it right after the
June 20th?
movie in the park, I believe?
Yeah, like the day after maybe?
Yes.
Is that a, what? Oh, that's a Thursday, correct? June 20th? Would you guys like to do it then? We're gonna have a lot of people. I know, kind of the older crowd that kind of comes out,
Yeah.
but also families come out to that too. So there's like a diverse group that, we can kind of pull from, especially if they have vendors. If we're inviting all of the community, they might get more people interested in kind of seeing what music in the park is, because maybe people don't know about it. So that might be a plus to have it that day. So does anyone want to do it that day? I mean, I guess it's up to your schedules too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, you can talk about it.
We'll talk about
Yeah,
it more,
yeah.
and
We
we'll
don't-
figure out a good date.
Yeah, yeah.
I have one thing too about the fence on Henry Rock.
That's later. That's later.
Did you get a hold of those, did you get a hold of the last person?
Right. The
I
neighbor.
have a message out to him. I was gonna give you an update on it.
Okay.
How about the day of the ice cream social?
Is that, I don't know if that's at,
And it would probably be open though before that, is it would just be the
Yeah.
ceremony?
It'd just be
Yeah,
a ceremony to,
yeah, okay.
But it looks real good. Looks really good over there.
Does it?
Yeah.
yes, it does.
So we have public comment, general, non-agenda items, limited 3 minutes. Anybody?
Nobody?
Report from Parks and Rec Director?
All right, I think you all received the program report.
Oh, you know what, okay, so I don't mean to interrupt you, but I apologize for that. So normally what we would do on that was, instead of going through it line by line,
Yeah,
what we would do is, like, if somebody had a particular line item that they had a question on, instead of
yeah, I was hoping we were doing that.
reviewing every line doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
if we see something that looks out of place,
Yeah.
then we would ask you about that instead of going line by line.
Yeah,
So I don't know
That
if
sounds good.
anybody's had a chance to look at that and has any questions, but I'm sure Erica's well-versed in this and ready
pretty
for
sure I
us
can
to.
answer everything.
Things that you-
Well, you know, the
with,
thing I
don't
always
know.
look for is, I look for the things, and I haven't had a chance to look at this. I always look for the things that are in the negative, and then always wonder, is there anything we can do to get them out of the negative?
Mm-hmm.
That's always my biggest concern. But sometimes it's just,
But that's-
the program's ended, and there's nothing you can do. It's
Yeah.
just going to be a negative.
Right,
And the program may need to be raised the next time.
right,
I know for the longest time, to give you a little background, when I first came on, and Dennis can vouch for this one, we used to give away programs and we'd lose money all the time. And
Yeah.
we'd always say, we don't want to drive kids away from it, but we don't want to lose money on every program. Let's try and at least break even on the program, not make money, especially when it came to the kids.
right.
The only things they really did not make money on this time was the daddy-daughter dance and the fire and ice magic show. Looks like the expenses were more than the revenue that was brought in.
So the daddy-daughter dance, we were hoping for more people.
Yeah, I mean,
The food was a major one. Any of the leftover food we brought over to both the police department and the fire department for that.
That's awesome.
That's one of the things that we always try and look at too is, well, if we had 6 more people, then we
Right.
would have broke even, right?
Right.
So it's,
I have a question. It looks like Homeschool Fridays was a huge success. Is there a way, looking at the figures here, to maybe add a day, another day for homeschool? I mean, if they're willing to pay for these services, and it is bringing revenue in.
I mean, we
I
could
don't
certainly
know.
look into it. I'm not familiar with sort of the homeschool scheduling or whatnot, but we could certainly look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Because, yeah, it is a good,
I mean, I don't
Generate.
homeschool my kids. I mean, I give everyone credit, but I mean, if you're looking at what makes sense and what doesn't,
Right.
this
It's,
looks
That would
like it-
definitely make sense if you can add a day and make a little more money, what the heck?
Yeah.
we would still have to find instructors, that's
Yeah, that's true.
one of the hardest
yeah.
parts of it.
I wonder if the instructors for Friday had another day that they could do it, but again, that's something to, you know,
Right.
Anything else under the financials?
No?
Kate, Sherry, anything? Up and coming program events?
Yep, so you have these listed. Do you guys want me to read these, or?
Sometimes we make Mike read them.
Make Mike read 'em. We might as well make you
I
read
can,
'em.
I mean, we've got a trip
You
to
sound like you're not
Turkeyville.
bashful. You'll be able to handle this.
There's the Dance Express, the big recitals are coming up, so tickets are on sale, and that is on June 12th and 13th. And the first movie in the park is scheduled for June 19th. So if you want to see Super Mario Brothers, this is a night to put on the calendar. Someone mentioned the ice cream social, so that will be July 22nd. We've got a board game day, July 23rd, and then another trip to Turkeyville to see Escanaba in the Moonlight.
Okay. And the movies in the park will be at Rotary, correct?
The first one is
The
yes.
first one?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yes, at Rotary, yeah, my bad.
Commissioner comment, we'll start with Dennis.
I have nothing.
Robert?
No, only thing, my fence on Andrew Rock.
So I actually was in contact with the company on Friday. So they're supposed to be coming out and meeting with me again on Thursday, I believe.
So you did talk to the other neighbor?
Yes. Yep.
And they're both good
As of this time, yes.
at this moment.
I don't have anything.
I would like to just take a minute, and I'd like to thank Mike Downey for everything that he's done during the interim of the vacancy of Erica's position. I know Mike has done a lot. He's had to do this twice, 2 different times. Weekends. He goes up and beyond the call of duty. So Erica, I sure hope you have something for Mike going forward down the road, that we're not just going to kick him to the curb or whatever.
I certainly have no plans of that.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to get that out there, that Mike
Yeah.
has done a great job, and when we've called him, he'll reply to us, and
Yeah.
that just needs to go on the record that he's done a great job for us while the vacancy was there.
John speaking for all of us.
And that goes, yeah, and
So
that's
we don't
pretty,
have to each individually tell you that. He's got his notes, and we just gave him all the information.
No, it's really
I'm the
nice.
voice.
I mean, that is what I've heard and seen, so Garden City's
you
very
know I'm the
lucky.
voice. Kate?
Yeah, thank you and welcome. That's all I have. Thank you.
Guys, you know I normally do this, but I can't do it. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
6-0 again.